Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper, and I promised you another card using the Decorative Trees dies. As I said in a previous video, I didn't actually get the stamp set. I have to cut my cloth accordingly to my budget and it didn't quite run to both, but I really like the dies and I thought the dies could be really useful on their own. There are two sets of dies, 2 pages of dies I should say, in the set. For this card we're just using this outline die. But this marries up with some other pattern dies so that you can cut plain trees, or you can cut a pattern die front to go on top. If you look for my previous video using these, I show you all the different dies on that video. Okay, so this is the card we're going to make. Now, this is a technique that I saw Sarah Davies demonstrate on her Instagram. And what she did was she stamped and embossed onto foiled paper. She actually did it on glimmer paper. I've done it onto some foiled cardstock, but you can use whatever you've got in your stash. There are gold, there are silver, there is glimmer paper. I've used white embossing powder. If you're doing it on our white glimmer paper, obviously you'll need to use a different colour embossing powder. So I'm gonna talk you through what I did, but I'm not gonna demonstrate it because the heat gun is noisy and embossing powder is messy and all the rest of it, and it keeps this video nice and short. So what I did was I went ahead and I cut some strips. Now this is actually retired foiled DSP. I've said it a million times, I'm on a mission to use up my retired supplies as well as using my new supplies. And this was a little while ago. It's called Noble Peacock, and it went with the peacock stamp set that we had that had that beautiful tail. And it's in Night of Navy, Pretty Peacock, and I think that is Granny Apple Green, but I'm not entirely sure. But as I said, if you look in the catalogue, there are lots of other, there's gold, there's silver, there's glimmer paper, and there is some coloured glimmer paper in the autumn winter seasonal, so you could use that. Okay, so basically what I've done is exactly the same as if I was heat embossing onto cardstock. I've used my embossing buddy to help with the static, and then I have used the stamp from Frozen Edges. I've used this stamp here from Frozen Edges with some Versamark. Now, the only word of warning I've got for you with shiny paper is that if you press too hard or rock the stamp, it can skid. And that is what has happened there. I don't know if you can see that here. It's skidded and I have got a blurry image. It did it again there, which is fine. Those bits can still be used. So yeah, so ink up your stamp with your Versamark, put it down and lift it straight up and try not to press too hard or you'll wobble it and skid it. Okay, and then my other word of warning is on things like this foiled card. It is made in 2 layers, the foiled layer and the cardstock back, and I don't know if you can see that, whether the camera will pick it up there. Can you see this? And that's where the foil with the heat has popped off the cardstock back, the plain cardstock back, and that's because I got the heat gun too close. So be careful when you're doing that. Doesn't affect its use, I can still use it, it's not a problem at all. So what I did was I cut from the 12 by 12 sheet, I cut a 2.5 inch strip, which was enough for 4 trees on each strip in each of these colours, and these odd bits left, which I'll use for something else. You know me, I don't like any waste. In fact, I already have used it on one of my other videos. You can see I used it to punch out stars to go on the top of the trees. Okay, so that's how I did that, and I then die cut it. So it's far easier to stamp randomly over an entire strip of paper and then die cut it to get your trees out. And as I said, if you're careful how you place your die, you can get at least 4 trees out of a 2.5 inch strip. So it's quite frugal. Okay, so I've made an embossed background, and for that I've used the same embossing folder again as my previous video, and that is the Snowflake Sky. I called it Snowfall in the other video, because we did have one called Snowfall, but this is Snowflake Sky, and it's a 3D embossing folder. Now, I said in the previous video that I'd used the bottom of the embossing folder for my previous card using these dies. And it's more concentrated in pattern. I think that's best if I show you here. It's more concentrated in pattern on one end and then spread out a bit more on the other end. But this time I wanted it spread out more. So I went nearer the bottom top, whichever way round you like to use it. And don't forget, if you're using one of our folders, always have the Stampin' Up logo on the front of the folder, and that way you'll get a good impression. Okay, so let's put that to one side and then I'll make one with you. Okay, so first of all, I've got half of a sheet of Night of Navy. So this is an A4 sheet and it's cut widthways at 14.8 centimeters and scored at 10.5. Okay, then I've got 2 pieces of basic white, one of which I've run through the embossing folder to give that snowy sky effect, which I've already said, and then a plain piece which is going to go on the inside because obviously we need somewhere to write, and Night of Navy is not really conducive to writing inside unless you've got a gold or silver pen, and even then it just makes it look nicer. So I'm going to stick my embossing folder onto the front of my card, and we're making a tent fold card. So the last video I did was a left hand fold card. This is a tent fold card. So we want, I always open up my card bases, I just find it easier. So we want the, do we want that? No, we don't. I want that the other way around. Never press it down till you're sure. So I want the concentrated piece of snow at the bottom, as if the snow's falling down and making a snowbank. And you can see I had a little bit of glue come out there and it's left me with a little tacky bit. If you leave that to dry, you can then use a glue rubber, which sadly we don't sell anymore. Every catalogue that comes out, I keep expecting to see it in there again, but you can buy them online. They're brilliant things, but always let the glue dry. Okay, and then we've got our trees. So these are our 3 trees that we've got. One of each colour. And I'm going to change up the colours. Now, of course, you don't have to do this on foiled cardstock. You could do this on normal cardstock and it would work just as well. But I just think it gives it something else with that little bit of shine from the colour behind. Now, last time I did these 2, one each side, and this one in the middle. But I think we're going to go that one, and that one this time. Now, the other thing I meant to say was I forgot to use my embossing buddy on the Night of Navy foiled card. And you can see I've got little dots of embossing powder there where I hadn't used it. So on this one, I did use it. Let's get that to focus. You can see no dots. This one, I didn't use it. I forgot. But I think we can get away with that because, you know, if it was snowing, it would have little bits, wouldn't it? We're not just nice, pretty snowflakes. Okay, so the outside 2. Oh, come on. Why does your glue always run out when you're in the middle of doing a video? The outside 2 are going to go. And that's why I always keep it upside down in one of those little single portion jam jars. The outside 2 are going to go down flat. Okay, and then we're going to raise the middle one up on some dimensionals. That's a bit of an old effect, but I like it. It just sort of centres the eye. So this one's going to go over here. So I'm making sure I've got them both the same distance away. Giving a good press. Now this one, as I said, is going to go on some dimensionals. I like to use my ends up, so that one can go quite nicely across there. That one can go up there. Now, I'm not one of these people that puts a million dimensionals on things, but use whatever you want. And again, my little jam jar for the backs. As I've said lots of times before, I find these things everywhere. So I find when I'm crafting, rather than just sort of peeling them off and leaving them on my desk, which they invariably get knocked onto the floor, it's just easier to have a little jar to put them in. Right, and that's going there like that. Okay, we're going to do the whole Wink of Stella trick again on these little snowflakes, just to give them a bit of glitter. I think I need to buy a new Wink of Stella. So if your Wink of Stella has been a new one and it's getting a little bit not so winky or stellary, if you open it up, you can actually take the barrel apart, and you can put a tiny amount of rubbing alcohol or surgical spirit, whatever you call it, wherever you are, into the barrel. Put it all back together, give it a good shake, and that effectively washes out any glitter that has been stuck to the barrel inside, which makes it last a little bit longer. Okay, so I'm just picking up all the little stars and the little snowflakes that's in that with my Wink of Stella, and I don't think you're going to be able to see the shine, but just so you can see where the little snowflakes are, that just gives it a little bit of something. And then what we've got, I've done a greeting, love from our home to yours, and again, these are the trimmings that come off when I'm cutting my matte layers. So from an A4 sheet of basic white, you can get 4 matte layers, and it gives you these little trimmings. So my matte layers are cut at 10 by 14.3, and all I'm going to do is just snip that off at an angle, and then do the same thing on the other end. My brain won't allow me to turn it round, otherwise I get it all at the wrong angle. Okay, and then I'm just going to pop some small dimensionals, or some edges. Oh, I've got edges of my small dimensionals even. Just going to pop some of those on the back. And this sentiment is out of the Peaceful Season. There's some really nice thin sentiments in there that work quite well on a card front where you've not got a load of room. Okay, so I'm just going to take the back ends off that. Probably should put one in the middle as well, but anyway. And that's going to go across here. Love from our home to yours. And I like the fact that in this set there's a love from our home to yours, but there's also a love from my home to yours. So they've thought about the people that are single, which is really nice. Okay, and then for the inside of our card, on this one I stamped A Season of Wonder and Happiness, which is also out of that same set. Okay, so let's find excuse me. Actually, yeah, no, I am going to. What did I say I used? A Season of Wonder and Happiness. Shall we go for something different this time? I'm going to go for Wishing You and Yours. If I can find it. Okay, so I'm going to go for Wishing You and Yours, so I'll mount that up. And then A Season of, if I can find it. There. Okay. So a little tip when you're mounting up these photopolymer stamps, especially the thin ones, lay them down and then pick them up. Don't try and position them on your block or you'll never get them straight. Okay, so we're going in with Wishing You and Yours, and then A Season of Wonder and Happiness. And that's one of the things that I like about this set. There are different stamps. Sorry, I'm just going for my ink pad. There are different stamps that you can use to make up a bigger greeting. So we're going in with Wishing You and Yours, with Night of Navy. And then what I'm going to do is come in with the other part of the greeting in Pretty Peacock, because that's one of the colours that we've got on our front. The sentiment on the front of the card is Night of Navy. Wishing You and Yours. Season of Wonder and Happiness. There we go. So we've got a two-tone greeting. almost 3-tone. I think that might need re-inking. Okay, just give that a minute to dry. And then we'll put some glue on the back of that. I do like to squeeze every last drop out of my glue. Okay, and we're going to stick that in to the middle, like that. Ah, and there's our finished card with the greeting inside. Okay, so let me bring back the one that I did first. Now, I haven't put any stars on the top of these trees because I thought there was enough snowflakes and what have you on there, but obviously if you wanted to, you could. You could add some gems to some of the snowflakes on the trees, but again, another card that is good for bulk making, because you can emboss your strips, die cut a load of the trees, and obviously then do your backgrounds in bulk, and they're quite quick and easy, as you can see, to put together. I think this whole video is 16 minutes, and that's with waffling from me. Okay, hope you like the card, hope you'll give it a go, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks for watching, and happy stamping.